And my mother said, teach David to play anything at all, as long as you get him to play the piano. So he taught me to play rock and roll, he taught me to play jazz, and then I was hooked. I did what a lot of kids at this age do. We formed our own garage band, and I'm not making this up, this is absolutely true. The name of my rock and roll band in 1969 was the Underground Rainbow. Doesn't that sort of summarize the whole generation of Flower Power? And what I have for you is an idea that actually, I didn't realize it, but I came about it right then. You see, I saw these great teachers that I was working with, and at the same time, there were these musicians that I loved, and I saw a connection. So you know that song? If you are a preschooler and you watch Sesame Street, you're going to spend time with your Muppet friends and your human friends. You're going to learn new things. Nobody's ever going to make you feel dumb, and you're going to feel supported in your learning. Be optimistic. It's an optimistic song, but I don't mean optimism in the sense that you put on rose-colored glasses and you pretend that everything's going to be all right when things are sometimes hard. I mean optimism in two ways. First, when children come to your classroom, it's going to be a really good day. You know it's going to be a good day. They're going to learn new things in a supportive atmosphere that you created because you're the teacher. And I went upstairs and I walked into the 6th grade classroom, and there I saw everybody was working. Mrs. Pekoik was at a little table in the front working with a group of kids. The other kids were all sitting at their desks. Everybody was on task and working. It was beautiful. I figured, my work is done. I turn around and I'm getting ready to walk out of the room when I heard behind me the loudest crash imaginable. I whirled around, and there I saw Mrs. Pekoik flat on her back. The table had given way, pushed her chair back. You know, you worry about head injuries on those hard linoleum floors. But you know, I used to teach 6th grade. And I would have expected, if you heard a loud pratfall, I thought I would hear hooting and hollering and carrying on. But what I saw, and the reason this moment has stayed with me for now close to 30 years, is because this is what I saw. Every child in that room was up on his or her feet. And they were all reaching over to her and saying, Mrs. Pekoik, are you okay, Mrs. Pekoik? You see, they were so afraid that they were going to lose their beloved teacher that all they cared about right in that moment was her safety. You see, the truth is, if you give children love, when it really counts, they always give it back to you. And it happened because Anne Pekoik created this in her classroom, this wonderful feeling of optimism. From Ray Charles, all of us could learn a lesson about how to teach in our classrooms, and that lesson is we should accept no limits. Because people will try to limit you as teachers in two ways. The first way is they will say, well, you know, nothing ever changes. You can try to raise achievement and close the gap, but things never really change. You can try a new strategy, but this will be just the fashion of the day. But they're wrong. These are ways that people try to undermine educators' self-efficacy. That's the psychologist's phrase for the ability to make changes that will actually create great results. If you have strong self-efficacy, you believe you can make the difference. That's why you're here. But the second way people try to limit educators is even more terrible. They try to limit the children themselves. They say things like, well, there's an achievement gap, and African American and Hispanic students are behind, therefore they'll never catch up. That is not true, because all of us know schools where they have made enormous progress in closing the gap, and children have gone on for tremendous successful college and careers. They'll say that about new English language learners. Oh, they're starting out so far behind, they don't even speak English, they can't catch up. Not true. I had a student who started out as an ESOL student, became an Oxford scholar. It's not true. They'll say it about children with disabilities. Also not true. All the children can succeed as long as we don't limit them or limit our self-efficacy. Here's a story of a real teacher, but he said, I want you to graduate high school and be proud. You should at least have a C. I'd like you to have better. And he arranged for tutoring and help for the kids, and he insisted. And when the team got a little bit better, and they started winning about half their games, he did something that blew everybody's mind. He called the team together, and he said, would you like to be a starter? Would you like, at the beginning of the game, for us to announce your name over the loudspeaker while the band is playing and the cheerleaders are cheering and the lights are flashing, and then you're going to run off the bench? Could you all put your hands out for just 1 minute? And you run off the bench and you come out onto the court and everybody is excited to see you because you're a starter for Gaithersburg High School. Do you want that? And they went, yes, coach, yes, we want that. And then he said, 2.5. Oh, that was nice. What's the name of that song? In everything we do, in every action we take as a teacher in our classrooms, the children feel not just the lesson, they feel who we are, our values, our belief in them, our commitment, our love for them. It all comes through. Mr. Andrews stood up and he said this, welcome parents. I just want you to know there's no place in the world that I would rather be than here teaching your children. I'm going to do a timeout now. I had never heard any teacher start out like that, with such a heartfelt statement about what he believed was his role on earth. I was very moved. And then he went on. He said, you know, we're going to be learning a lot about curriculum and English and math, social studies and science. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about how I run my classroom. Let me do a timeout again. I've been around the block. I know that when a teacher says, let me tell you how I'm going to run the classroom or the rules to my class, that's code for I'm going to tell you rules now and procedures. And I thought, isn't that sad? That inspiring beginning, it's now going to go downhill. But I was mistaken. Because this is what he said. He said, you see how you're all sitting in individual desks? Well, by the end of the first quarter, I'm going to push those desks together and the kids are going to sit in pairs. At the end of the second quarter, they're going to sit in groups of 4. By the third quarter, they're going to sit in groups of 8 or 10. And by the last quarter of the year, all the desks are going to be pushed together, forming sort of like one big dining room table. And I'll be like the father sitting at the head of the family table. Because you see, every year I try to create in my classroom a feeling that we're a family learning and living together. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. We sound good. I'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I'll just leave you with this thought. If you hold these ideas in your hearts this year as you teach, you saw that I love music, right? But couldn't you tell the real people I admired in this presentation were the teachers? If you hold these lessons in your thoughts and your practice, what's going to happen is this. You are going to be the legends that your children never forget. And there's no greater legacy than that. Have a wonderful year.